Hi, it's Eric Snell, the author of the Fit Businessman book and the Explosive Mode book. And today I want to give you a glimpse in the life of an author. I have an exciting project coming out this year, 2023, and I thought I would go through a little bit my previous book projects and tell you about the new one that comes out this year. So, a long time ago, about in 2013, I had a bunch of notes, folders full of notes regarding training, especially explosive training. I was interested in improving my vertical jump, running faster, and I had a bunch of notes, and I thought that I would put them together. And at some point, I thought, well, maybe I could do a book about it. And I actually did a photo shoot back in 2012, and it was my first time doing a photo shoot, so I was preparing like crazy. I thought, okay, maybe this will be my first and last one, and I found a good photographer. I spent a whole budget on that, and I put it quite far in advance so I would have time to prepare. And I think it was a good thing that I put a quite high price on that, so that I really felt like I had to be strict with my diet to the end. So the last weeks were tough, especially the last days. I could barely sleep. It was very low carb, fish and vegetable diet sort of. And when I had the photo material, I have the written material, I thought, okay, I should do the book. And I know a lot of authors struggle with this, that you write, and then you make it better, and then you read it again, and you think, oh, I have to change this, I have to change that. And it's much tougher to finish a book than to write a book. And what I did, sort of to force myself to actually produce something and get the end product in my hands, is that I contacted an editor. And this is also, I tried to find a good editor that had experience, and it was expensive, but that again, it sort of forced me to put my material together, take it really seriously. And you have to bear in mind that at this time, I'm working a full-time job, I have a family, 2 kids, and I mean, in the Fit Businessman book, I talk about adding time to focus a little bit on nutrition and training when you're working a full-time job, when you have a family. Now, on top of that, I'm trying actually to do a book. So getting the editor, that was really a good thing, because the editor, of course, asked, okay, well, send me a draft. And you start sweating, like, okay, I gotta finish this up. And I send out draft, I can breathe for a week or so, I get feedback, and they say, okay, and we go back and forth, and we actually get the material together. And it's really difficult when you're so deep in your own material to take a step back and think about, does it make sense, and which order should everything be, and what does the reader not understand. I can see some similarities at work when you have a new employee and you have to teach that employee something that you know by heart, and it's not always easy to take the right perspective of things, not to jump ahead too much, explain all the abbreviations, and make sure so the base is covered. And so I'm working on this project, and I still think like, oh no, will this be done in time? And really, to push myself, I thought, okay, I need to do a little bit similarly like people do in the recording industry, or used to do. They used to push out a single, and then that single would promote the album. So I actually did the decision that, okay, before now the Fit Businessman book comes out, I'm going to do a small project. And the idea with this small project, it was called Shredded 2018, this one here. And the idea with this one, and why I put the year on it, is because it forced me to get it out in the beginning of 2018. So I wanted to put a a number in the title, a year, so that really pushed me to, okay, well, this will come out at least. And it's basically a very thin book, but it was a possibility for me to see, okay, how does the publishing work? How does the printing work? What type of paper quality do I want? What type of effects do I want? And it was really like a trial project. And the idea was that I could then distribute this for free to anyone and get some interest for the Fit Businessman book. So I got this one out, and also, I mean, here in the end, I really like this. This is I have the advertisement for the Fit Businessman book. So this was really working like a single. So if you see it there, that's the advertisement for the book itself. And the cover, I'm so proud of it. I spent the full budget, you know, on the editor, on the cover, on a good photographer. And this, you know, publishing these books, hardcover books, is an expensive hobby for me. This is, you know, luckily I have another job and I don't have to do this for a living. So I didn't have that stress, but maybe it also sort of slowed down my marketing for it. But getting everything to look really professional was really important for me. And now, in retrospect, I'm so happy about it. I mean, I have here behind me a blown up picture of the cover of the Fit Businessman book. And this is the Fit Businessman book here. And as you can see, it's very, very big actually. This in size, this is about 2 kilograms. And this is like a coffee table book. And all the books I've done are full of illustrations. So every single spread has at least one huge photo on it. And I try to make it artistic, so it's nice to read, but you get the picture that will tell you a little bit more. And especially when you're showing movements and you can see the athlete doing something, it's much more interesting. So getting it in hardcover, it's a bit more expensive, so I could have, of course, done it in PDF. I could have skipped the photos, I could have skipped the cover and just do a PDF. Of course, that would have been nice as well, but it's not the same thing. And when you get your finished product, if you're an author, and I highly recommend that you just don't do Kindle books, you actually do a hardcover. Even if you just do one for yourself, it's amazing feeling when you can really touch it. And you know, I've done a lot of personal training, I've done group training, I've done a lot of things in my life, and it's been wonderful. But when it comes to it, you know, your memory is not that good. So if you have a product that you can actually take in your hands, that's sort of, you can take it in your hands when you're 65 and you can relive it again very easily. Now, of course, I can go in my memory bank and think about the time in 2014 when I coached a class and it went so well, but it's not the same memory. So I highly recommend, if you're an author, to actually get the hardcover versions. So the Fit Businessman book, there I put everything in it. I thought maybe this is the only book I'm ever gonna do. So there's everything about nutrition, everything about training that I know, that I used. And one reason I actually did it was a lot of people came to me and asked, like, how can it be that, you know, I was in my late 30s and I looked better than I looked at my wedding. You know, you have a six-pack, but you have 2 kids and you have a full-time job. How does that work really? And people want to know, okay, how do I train? What do I eat? And what really motivates me? Because a lot of times these things don't go together. So a lot of the professional athletes will tell you that what really makes them stronger, faster, and better is actually a lot of exercises and repetitions that are really tough to do and that they wouldn't enjoy doing. So a lot of people actually, after being a professional athlete, they're quit. They just don't want to do it anymore. They had enough. And you need to find a balance there. But that book explains everything. Now, then the book after that, I did this Explosive Mode book, and I'll show you that as well here. This one looks like this. And this again, here I put a lot of the budget into the cover. I love it, but this time it's about other athletes. So I went around and interviewed, and we took photos of a lot of athletes that are in explosive sports. Some of them are maybe less explosive, but they all have different type of approach to their training. Some of them are athletes, some of them are both athletes and coaches. And I actually enjoy reading it all over again, because I'm interested myself in, okay, how does a professional shot putter train? You know, how does a CrossFit athlete deal with all the volume that they do? We have in the book, we have even, you know, ice skating. We have a Chinese pole performer. It's a lot of different sports, and it's really interesting to read and find out how do they train. So this book was more about giving exposure to local athletes. And I mean, when this book was finished, it was so great to just hand it to these athletes and to look at their faces. And it might be a really big surprise to a lot of authors, but I think that the people that really appreciate the end product is not necessarily your number one fan, it's actually your relatives. So a lot of relatives of the athletes, my own relatives, they really appreciate this, and it's amazing. So here again, I wanted to do a hardcover. When you look at the design, again, it's illustrations everywhere. There's a little bit more, let's say, a theme throughout the book. So in the Fit Businessman book, I tried a lot of different type of layouts and really played with it. Here, it's a little bit more structured. And so we have these 3 projects in the past, and then now I thought, well, you know, it would be fun to do another book and focus on one athlete or coach. So I've been working now the past year with a very talented, driven coach that's a strength and conditioning coach that resides in Norway. His name is Milo, and he specializes in right at the moment it's a lot of handball. There's some soccer players. I think he's coaching also a boxer, but different athletes. But in the city he lives, the handball is the big thing. So he's actually a professional in this area. So he's doing all the studies. He's working full-time at it, and he's a bit of a workaholic, really enthusiastic, and really determined to succeed as a strength and conditioning coach. And I think he's read every single book there's out there, and every year he just reads more, and he does his own sort of surveys and tries different things. And he has a lot of wealth of knowledge. It's really profound. So the book that's coming out is going to be called The Milo Method, where he describes his technique, and there's a lot of more technical stuff in it. But what's so nice in it, there's about 7 different athletes that he has worked with that, you know, show how do they work and what do they do. So it's a little bit like in the Explosive Mode book. You have athletes explaining their training methods, their nutrition, and how they recover from injuries. Like handball is a contact sport, so you can get easily injured, and you got to bounce back. And there's some really nice stories for, I mean, if you have let's say your daughter or your son plays a sport and gets injured, I mean, you need to give this book is going to be so good for them to understand how you recover from it, how you bounce back. And there's amazing stories in the book. So there's a lot about the technique, and I would say it's really for any athlete doing a sport where the focus is on the sport itself and the coach is good at the sport, but the coach is not that involved in the strength and conditioning part. So if, let's say you play ice hockey and you have ice hockey practice 3 times a week, but that's all, then you might want to get stronger, get faster. You know, nowadays everyone seems to be stronger and faster anyway, so you need to keep up, and you need to go to the gym, you need to do other things on the side. And this is what Milo is really an expert in. So I've actually had the opportunity to go to Norway. I went together with him to Sweden as well, because some of these athletes are international athletes playing a really high level, and just amazing athletes. And I had the opportunity to see when he was training the professional team, handball team, and man, these guys are all huge. Most of them are in their early 20s, and they just put up unbelievable numbers in the gym. They're fast, and there's also some older athletes there, so it's really inspiring to see them train. He also coaches a lot of the younger athletes, and I think the younger athletes are the ones that need more guidance, and I think a lot of parents would find it very useful to know what they can do with their kids. Is it safe for the kids to do some strength training? At what age should they start? And what do all these studies say about this? So this book is going to come out this year, 2023. It's going to have an awesome cover again. There's some really great pictures, and every spread again is going to be artwork. So when you open up the book, you can really enjoy everything. You can really see the athlete and not just read about the athlete. So there's a lot of information directly from the athlete, and you will be surprised how much all these athletes, they just love Milo. I mean, it's one thing to see Instagram posts, YouTube videos, etc., but when you're there and you can see him coach, man, these especially the young ones, the team, man, they really enjoy the training. And he's a very humble and approachable guy, and I think he has a really bright future ahead of him. And it's just amazing to see this interaction between the coach and the players. And a lot of times, and what I actually saw there as well, like he could have a class, and after the class, athletes talk to him like, okay, but what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So his role in the coaching team is much wider than just, you know, writing a program where you should do cleans and squats. It's much more to it. And I think this project is going to be the best so far. It's a little bit different from the Fit Businessman book and the Explosive Mode book, but I think this is going to be a book that, well, I hope it's going to propel his career, of course, but it's going to help a lot of, I would say, 15 to 25-year-olds and really help them figure out how much strength training they should do, what type of training they should do. And yeah, I'm really excited about the project. And you can go to MiloCoaching.com, and then you can find out more about Milo. He has a really active Instagram account as well. So if you look for the Milo method or Milo coaching, and hopefully the book will come out in a couple of months. It's going to be in the format, it's going to be a bit smaller than the Explosive Mode book. So the Explosive Mode book is smaller than the Fit Businessman book, and it's going to be a little easier to carry with you. So if you go to the gym and you think like, oh, let's see, what could I do today, and you get some ideas maybe, and I think a lot of motivation as well. There's shots from different athletes, so we have female athletes, male athletes, different age groups, and yeah, I can't wait to share it with you. So I will keep you updated, and once we get the cover art, of course, we're going to reveal that as well. So I think for this book, you know, it took a year now to really finish it. I think as an author, you can, of course, continue to write for a long time, but as a photographer, you need to be really careful that the pictures don't get too old. So I think when you write, there's not that a bit of a rush, but when you start taking photos, I think that's when the countdown starts. So if you as an author, you're thinking how you're going to do a book and you want to have some pictures in it, the day you take the first picture is going to be in the book. That's when the countdown starts, I think. So you need to have fresh photos. That's what people want, especially if you have photos of a team. Maybe the player doesn't play in that team the next year, and it feels old when that team reads it. So it's got to be quite quick. And this is now the first project that I do like this with just one athlete or coach, and it's been super. I was really lucky to meet Milo. I've tried to reach out to different people to do similar projects, and Milo really is the right person for this type of project. So if you're thinking about doing cooperation with someone, it's not that easy always to find the right person. And I'm still looking maybe to do some other type of book projects. I think the next project I will do will be more like a novel, still maybe fitness related. And you know, I never recommend anyone to become a full-time author. It's a huge gamble. It's a little bit like being a full-time musician, I think. There's very few that actually make it so you can make a living out of it. I don't make a living out of being an author. It's a very expensive hobby for me, but I love it, and it's just an amazing feeling when you have the finished product in your hand. So I hope this gives you a little bit a picture of what it's been like for me to do these books. And you know, when you have a project that you work on, you have a reason to get up in the morning, and you know, it's super exciting. And I really recommend, even if you're working a full-time job and you have kids and you trying to get your training, trying to get your nutrition on point, to have it like a pet project that you do, it's awesome. So especially if you have a full-time job and you don't have to make sure that you get income from that project, then I definitely suggest you should do it. So if you're doubting yourself, you're thinking, oh, I should write a book, I should do this, there are tricks you can do, like getting an editor. And if you're interested in like a fitness project, then you know, I'm ready to travel as well, so I don't mind traveling around the world. You can always contact me, and maybe we can do a project together. You know, it could be fun. Well, anyway, I'm Eric Snell, and you can follow me on Instagram, Explosive Mode, or just go to ExplosiveMode.com and go to Milo Coaching if you're looking for a really good strength and conditioning coach. He's really busy, but who knows, maybe he would have time to coach you as well. And look out for the Milo Method book. It's coming out now in 2023.